Hello there, you beautiful people. My name is Willow, and welcome back to Supreme Commander Forged Alliance Forever, where today we look at a 5v5 played on the map Adaptive Millennium. So let's go ahead and get stuck into the action, but before we do and before we introduce our players, please consider subscribing. We're very close to 1,000 subscribers, and I have to attention whore and do these calls to action until we do. So yeah, that out of the way, let's start introducing our players, starting in the top right-hand corner with a dark green Seraphim going first land. He is a supporter of the channel. He's been here a long time. His name is Samus759. Moving on to his first ally, a purple UEF going first land by the name of Hyper 2001. Moving on, we have ourselves a red Seraphim going first land by the name of Razor J28, and he's strutting that Seraphim stuff. Then we have ourselves a yellow Cybran going first land by the name of Stromeister, and he's gone first land. Moving on to the first player to make a good choice this game, it is a pink Aeon, and his name is Wookie Guy, who has gone first land. And then last but not least, for Team 1, we have a green Aeon also making a good choice by the name of Wednesday, my dudes. And that's all the players for Team 1. Let's start with Team 2. Going down to the bottom right, we have ourselves an orange UEF going first land by the name of the Blind Bat going first land. Moving to the air player for Team 2, we have ourselves a gray Cybran by the name of Iron Balls going first air. Then we have ourselves a purple Cybran going by the name of Binary Chicken going first and second land. Then we have a blue player, a supporter of the channel, of course. His name is Snake Mister, and he is a Seraphim, and he is gone first land. Then we have a Patreon going first land. He's a pink UEF, and his name is, of course, Sergeant Syphilis. Who could mistake that mug? Then, last but not least, we have him. The blue Aeon player going first land, Willow's Duality. What a surprise. You see Willow's Duality in a Willow cast. That never happens. Either way, the map Adaptive Millennium, there is a ton of reclaim. Most of it actually centered around the bases. It's not really all that much clustered in the middle. There is a decent amount in the middle, but there's just more near your base. So it's really important to get reclaiming early and to make sure you balance your power and mass economies properly. We don't have any early aggression coming out from these players, but I'm sure that they will start kicking each other soon enough. And other than that, I would like to just say thank you to everybody who's joined the Discord. In case you didn't know, I haven't said it in a cast in a little while. If you want to submit replays, please join the Discord. There's a channel there. That's the easiest way. That's the most likely way you're going to get casted if you have a good replay. And with that, well, not really out of the way, I don't really know. I'm very much so stumbling over my words like a epileptic chicken, but these players are most certainly not, well, all except one, doing that at this current moment. So let's give them the respect they deserve. We have a little bit of fighting going on. The comm of Samus picking off what seems to be a scout, a Snoop, I would assume, out from the Blind Bat, and a Mech Marine also going to go down. That comm just racking up so much value so early. Or maybe not. Maybe it's these tanks. Nope, it's these tanks. It wasn't the comm. I'm just completely wrong, which is par for the course for Willow and his casts. In the middle, we have units now conglomerating from all different colors of the rainbow. From our players on Team 1, Razor J and Stromeister coming forward. We also have Snake Mister making his way to the front, and Sergeant Syphilis probably not far behind him. Looks like he's heading there now. Willow's Duality over here building up a very forward, or not very forward, but a forward production facility consisting of 4 land factories. and moving his comm out to this western flank. Meanwhile, Wednesday, my dudes, has already managed to get up here to the front and is making his own stuff. He has some hover spam harassing the engineer of Sergeant Syphilis that's managed to build the mass extractor, so until we get submarines or a reclaim or capture order, that mass extractor is going to stay there for the foreseeable future. And of course, Wednesday, my dudes, now pushing forward towards Willow's Duality. T2 on the way for Willow's Duality. That's a pretty early T2, only here at the 5-minute mark. The eastern side, we don't really have much action going on. In the central area, Binary Chicken now starting to throw up some factories. And now we have some skirmishing going on between Wednesday, my dudes, and Willow's Duality's units. Going to have to keep an eye on that. Over here, Razor J in the middle with his comm, going to start reclaiming some of these bigger rocks. 113 reclaim. Por each rook. For each rook out here, there's a bunch of reclaim and there's beautiful things. And if you had a competent caster, he would talk about it with a non-annoying accent. I don't even know what accent this is. Go tell me in the comments what you think this accent is. Like, subscribe, go to the comments. Scouts flying out every which direction now from Wookiee Guy. And we have a bit of an engagement here in the middle between the units of Snake Mister and Razor J's comm and the units of Strawmaster. Strawmaster bringing his comm forward as the units of Snake Mister retreat back to where they belong over here, trying to take on a comm with 10 tanks. That just doesn't work. T2 about to finish up for Willow's Duality, and gun speed and range now starting up for Binary Chicken. Damage and range on the way for Sergeant Syphilis, and Snake Mister's comm is not upgrading because he's not cool enough, I guess. I'm just kidding, Snake Mister, we love you. Speed and range now on the way as well for Samus. Could see some action breaking out on this eastern flank if things go to the plans of certain players. I'm sure we will see that. The comm of Hyper sitting over here on this kind of cliff. And Hyper trying to coordinate with his ally. Samus saying, if he pushes, I will help. Let me finish this gun upgrade and then I will. So we're gonna see some action over on the eastern side. After T2 is finished, it seems as though Willow's Duality going for a chrono dampener. Very powerful upgrade. Speed on the way for Wednesday, my dudes, and he's probably gonna follow that up with a range upgrade. If I had to guess, most time if you get speed first, you're gonna get ranged right after it. So have to keep an eye on that. Nano repair on the way for the Blind Bat, and speed and range still working on for Binary Chicken. Gun damage and range has finished up for Sergeant Syphilis, who's starting to move his comm towards the middle and is going to get into a little bit of a fisticuff fight with the comms of Strawmaster and Razor J. Razor J currently getting a gun speed and range upgrade at about 40%, and that's going to help him out quite a little bit. Chrono dampener past halfway done. Is Willow's Duality stalling? I'm sure he is, but it seems as though he's getting a little bit of help from his allies because, yeah, overflow's kind of working. This is a very early chrono upgrade. Generally, you want around 600 power a second. Willow's Duality sitting at 400, so, you know, it's not all sunshine and rainbows, but that upgrade's going to be finished here in the next about 10 seconds. In the middle, Sergeant Syphilis, Strawmaster, and Razor J starting to get into a little bit of an engagement between the comms and units, but Sergeant Syphilis deciding to fall back as the comm of Razor J and the units of Razor J, along with the common units of Strawmaster, push forward. On the eastern flank, we have Samus finishing up his gun upgrade, and it looks as though Hyper is going to stay true to his word. He's going to start sending units over to that eastern flank to try and help out his Seraphim ally on that far eastern side. And now we have engagements popping off multiple places on the map. We're in fact going to go to multiple cams. We have on the left side Willow's Duality fighting with Chrono, and in the middle we have Sergeant Syphilis and Snake Mister fighting with their comms against Strawmaster and Razor J. Looks as though Razor J and Strawmaster are going to be pushed back at the moment, and I will actually get off dual screen because it's really just not working for us. And Willow's Duality starting to push up. The units for Wednesday, my dudes, are dissipating quite quickly, while the comm of Willow's Duality going low on health at around 10,000 health. On the eastern side, or the central side I should say, Sergeant Syphilis and Snake Mister making some progress. Razor J and Strawmaster both fighting it out. The comm of Strawmaster quite a little bit low. We have a lot of units out here from Binary Chicken helping out, and the gun speed and range comm from Binary Chicken helping out, and the fact that we don't have anything coming out from Hyper to help is really hindering this central push for the top team for Team 1, Razor J, now throwing damage into both comm of Snake Mister and Sergeant Syphilis, getting quite a good health trade. Despite being almost alone over here, he's managed to take Sergeant Syphilis and Snake Mister quite low on health, but Razor J now under threat. That damage and range gun really helping out. Willow's Duality trying to build some PD on the front line as bombers fly over from Wednesday, my dudes, to deal some damage to the spam units out from Willow's Duality. Down to 7,000 health, needs to keep an eye on it, but only 5,000 health for Wednesday, my dudes, and that could be significant very, very soon. And Wednesday, my dudes, falling back. The PD he tried to throw up in a rush are not really working out for him. And the Chrono really messing up the plan out from Wednesday, my dudes. Not able to get his units out onto the field and dealing damage. Razor J and Strowmaster forced to fall back as their numbers of units have dissipated heavily and they are just out of shit to throw at the enemy, and that just means you need to stop trying. You got to get back, you got to regroup, got to rebuild, and you need to get more health onto those comms. On the eastern side, Willow's Duality falling dangerously low on health due to the gun comm and fervors as he tries to build some PD on the front line, down to 1,000 health and falling, possibly going to go even lower, down to 700 HP, 600, 400, 200. So is he gonna survive? He's down to 300 HP. He's falling back. The comm of Wednesday, my dude, trying to push forward again. The Chrono stopping any damage from units. Bombers coming in, dropping bombs down to 112 HP was the lowest I saw it get right there. He's still falling back. Is he gonna be able to survive this? I'm not sure. It's gonna be another bomb coming in. Oh, he survives with 90 something HP. And he continues to walk back. No, don't stop. Keep going. In the central area, we have a fight going on. Razor J exploding. So much action going on all over the map. Razor J managing to be our first ejection here so early. Willow's Duality going to be able to get back, it does seem, up to 600 HP, which is a lot healthier than 90 something. Mercy's now coming in to try and snipe Willow's Duality. Does he have any interceptors in the area? He has 3 interceptors. He needs to shoot these down immediately, but the mobile AA on the cliff blocks the Mercies. If the Mercies had just come straight in, it would have been a kill. But the mobile AA, the Thistles over here, heroes for Willow's Duality as he continues to fall back. Are there more Mercies on the way? There's another wave of Mercies right here that are probably going to come in and try and kill him, but there's a bunch of mobile AA now in the area. Willow's Duality managing to rack up a hearty 12 mobile anti-air. That is more than enough to deal with any number of Mercies almost. You need an overwhelming force. You need to blot out the sun with your Mercies in order to make that happen. The game, of course, is full share. The base of our dead player Razor J has gone over to Samus759. Might be more prudent for him to gift this base over to either Hyper or Strowmaster, but he may decide to hold on to it. On the eastern side, Samus and our friend the Blind Bat have been fighting it out. Looks like a bunch of dead units over here as Corsairs now come in, and Wookiee Guy has killed off Snake Mister with oh my god, I missed both of them. A Corsair snipe kills off Samus and a Mercy snipe kills off Snake Mister. And that's going to leave us with a 4v5 on the map. Team 1 losing more players. Team 2 losing only 1 player. Snake Mister over here in the middle. Looks like maybe he was trying to get into the water, but the Mercies must have come in because that's the only attacking unit Wookiee Guy had. So I missed both of them, but nevertheless, I tried to get it all on camera and I failed. It's okay, we're used to failure here over at Willowcast, and I really hope you don't mind too terribly much. It was both snipe attempts. I should have just picked one and gone with it. They died at the same time. But leave it to me to be the ineffectual Captain Sanders of, or Colonel Sanders, not Captain. Captain Morgan and Colonel Sanders had a baby. It's called Captain Sanders. Over here on the western side, there's some point defense now thrown up and a flak thrown up for Willow's Duality. He's gonna turtle up over on the western side, despite making fun of people who turtle. What a fucking hypocrite. Over here on the eastern side, Blind Bat moving forward, building forward production facilities, and trying to take advantage of the fact that all of this base was gifted over to Wookiee Guy, and Wookiee Guy is not microing it properly. He's trying to hand it over to our green player who's Wednesday, my dudes, which is kind of weird because he's the farthest player away from everything happening on this eastern side. A lot of units now coming out from both Strohmeister and Hyper to try and stop this onslaught coming out from the Blind Bat. Blind Bat managing to kill off all of these production facilities. A few Ilshivas will manage to make it out of the factories, but isn't enough. The T2 HQ was given over to Wednesday, my dudes, so those factories can't produce any more Ilshivas. And it's... oh, never mind, they can. There's another T2 Seraphim HQ. Wookiee guy getting a lot of help from his allies dying, able to have multiple Tech 2 HQs of the Seraphim land variety. The units out from the Blind Bat trying to make a run by into the base of Wookiee guy and Wednesday, my dudes, but I think it's going to be stopped after killing maybe one T1 mechs, but that's not a huge loss for anybody in this game. And we have a Corsair snipe coming out now for Wednesday, my dudes. It is coming from Iron Balls again, getting that successful snipe over onto Samus. But there's now a shield completed and there's flak, so these Corsairs are not going to be successful. They're going to come in for a second pass, but they will get nothing done. Would have been maybe better to target them onto that T2 P-Gen, at least deal some economic damage, but that's not in the cards for those Corsairs, and they're going to die. A tactical missile launcher now completed for Wednesday, my dudes, and I'm sure that's going to be launching towards the mass extractors of Willow's Duality, but Willow's Duality managing to throw up a few tactical missile defense in the meantime, and that means that none of the core economy is really at threat. I don't even know if it has the range to hit core economy. Not really. It could hit these production facilities, but there is a tactical missile defense there. We just can't see it in his view. Could possibly threaten the T2 mechs up on the plateau for Willow's Duality. In the central area, we haven't talked about it in a little bit, but it does seem that Binary Chicken just kind of has a monopoly on building units for Team 2, as he has so many units out here. And the base of Snake Mister was given over to Iron Balls, who's currently also producing units, but not very many to be, not enough to be exceptionally effective against what he's going up against. T2 now achieved by Strohmaster as he produces a ton of rhinos. He's going to try and do some stuff over there. It does seem that Sergeant Syphilis went on a piss break because he was drunk during this game. And tactical missile launches now coming out towards the eastern side, hitting the rock. Oh, that is painful. These tactical missiles won't be able to hit any of these mass extractors. Could maybe go for the hydrocarbon, but I don't know how much that's going to really do against a player who's about to have RAS. So that is going to be unfortunate. He did manage to snipe off the T2 mechs for Willow's Duality. On the eastern side, we have a decent defense now built up using a bunch of units out from Strohmaster, Strohmaster, Hyper, and Wednesday, my dudes, is a pretty decent defense now set up over here, but not quite. I mean, there's no real concerted effort to push over here. The Blind Bat, I think, deciding to eco up now. And these players not really fighting it out. There is a bunch of T3 air now completed for both players, both air players, both Wookiee Guy and Iron Balls, making it to that Tech 3 air point and producing T3 air units of some shape or form. Seems that there's most of the ASF are on the side of Iron Balls, and we do need to look at a few numbers. Looking over at Reclaim, Wednesday, my dudes, is currently the leader on Reclaim with 13,000 Reclaim. Willow's Duality right behind him at 10,000, and it goes down from there, but generally everybody getting close to 10,000 except for Hyper, Wookiee Guy, and Strohmaster. Looking at mass generation, we can see that Iron Balls is the leader at 130 mass per second. Wookiee Guy close behind at 108. Wednesday, my dudes, at 99. 94 for Strohmaster. Willow's Duality at 74. 63 for Hyper. 55 for Sergeant Syphilis. The Blind Bat at 45. And Binary Chicken at 43, bringing up the rear of the pack. And overall, in mass generation numbers, it looks like the teams are very close, within 10 mass generation per second of each other. Team 2's getting a slightly higher lead on overall mass gain this game, but it's only 20,000 in a game where we're about to reach 300,000. It's significant, but not enough to choose how this game is going to play out from here. And do we have anything special going on for any of these players? I'm not really seeing anything. There's a push now coming out from Willow's Duality on the western side. He has a bunch of T2 units pushing into T1 units, so this is going to go quite well for him. And also, I know that you're not supposed to mess with options during this, but somebody asked me to do this, and I figured I'll just test it out in a cast. Where is it? It's going to say off, wherever it is. Oh my god. You know what? Never mind. This push out from Willow's Duality, pushing into Wednesday, my dudes. All of these Oblivions and Blazes and the Asylums now starting to get really close to the base. There's a ton of engineers over here now building Oblivion point defense to try and stop this. I think building T1 PD would have been the better call. It would kill this all off faster, but he's just spending as fast as he can. Now getting up some T1 PD. A lot of T2 engineers are going to go down here, so he's going to lose a lot of build power, but I think this push is going to be stalled out, and Willow's Duality is going to have to go back home with his tail tucked between his legs. An experimental has been finished by Iron Balls. It's a chicken out from the former base of Snake Mister, so Snake Mister contributing quite a bit by dying right now. Wednesday, my dudes, with that shield upgrade, going to be able to be perfectly safe over here. And other than losing a bunch of build power, this is a non-consequential attack out from Willow's Duality. Now then, while we wait for that chicken to decide what it wants to do with its life, I'm going to see if I can find this. Always render strategic icons. Let's see how this works. Is it gonna show them? Nope. Whenever I do my cinematic shots, it's fine. So now, apparently people have been asking for this. You all can see these strategic icons when I'm zoomed in further, and that might help you all out. And you can go in the comments and go yell at me for messing with settings during a push that was inconsequential, and I will tell you it was inconsequential and didn't matter. And I knew that because I was in this game. I'm trying to keep a an unbiased opinion and not act like I can see into the future, but I do remember this match, so I mean, is what it is. It was a very good match and it deserved to be casted in my opinion, so that's what's happening. Fight me later about it. We have some Flapjack mobile missile launchers throwing some shots into the army and the various structures built up around here by Binary Chicken. The Yathoda starting to make its way across the map, and we're going to go ahead and just go tracking on that Yathoda for a little while now. Firing into some of the spam out from Strawmaster. Not really much going on the rest of the map. We have a bunch of restorers being built now by Wookiee Guy. He's deciding to opt for restorers. He really doesn't have any ASF, so I guess that's just his plan, build mass restorer. Which, you know, to each his own, maybe it'll work. Over here, the Yathoda starting to make its way forward and starting to get some damage done onto some of these structures. Strawmaster now in a spot of bother. This could be a death. Strawmaster, you do not have enough PD here to just kill a chicken and all of his army. There's restorers here, but restorers do not do as much DPS as he thinks. And Strawmaster going to start running away, but is it soon enough? As ASF come in to kill off the restorers, Strawmaster now starting to get shot at by the chicken. He's going to be losing HP really quickly, down to 8,000 HP and falling 5,000, 3,000, 2,000. One giant plasma death ball and he's dead, and it looks like one's on the way. Is he going to dodge it? No, he's not, and he's going to die as Strawmaster goes down. That makes this a 3v5, and Team 1 just not quite able to handle the pressure being put on by Iron Balls. Between his snipes and his experimental rush, he is really taking this game by the horns and reeling it in. He's starting to make a lot of progress. Wookiee Guy now controlling an inordinate amount of the map, but he needs to start using it immediately, and they need to deal with this Yathoda as soon as possible. We'll go ahead and stop tracking the Yathoda and start looking around more. We have units coming out from Wednesday, my dudes, and Hyper to try and deal with this Yathoda. But honestly, you just kind of have to abdicate some ground. A lot of the base that formerly belonged to Strawmaster now given over to Wednesday, my dudes. It seems Wookiee Guy not interested in running multiple bases. Wookiee Guy not interested in it. Wednesday, my dude, going to be continuing to manage a large portion of the map now. Almost every position is now held by him. And over here in the middle, we have a large push out from Hyper. Looks like it's going to be able to get into the back lines, but I don't know how much this is going to really achieve. It's going to kill off some of the economy, maybe. of Iron Balls, but Iron Balls also just going to be able to throw up some T2 PD and not really worry about it. And this is just a couple T2 mexes. He can replace that quite easily. Seems like the push was really cut off at the rear end by all of these units out from both Binary Chicken and Iron Balls. On the eastern side, the Chicken now closing in on killing off Hyper. Hyper needs to get underneath that second shield as soon as possible, down to 200 HP, and he is dead. The Chicken claiming 2 lives. Iron Balls really doing a stunning performance from the air position and using the economy that he was gifted by a teammate dying to all of its brutal effect. On the eastern side, we don't really have much happening. There's still a large T2 force out from Willow's Duality defending. And it seems that players are just ecoing it. Sergeant Syphilis going for T3 on his comm. And the Chicken out from Iron Balls just does not seem to have a solution. And that is a problem. The Team 1 needs to come up with a solution to kill off that Chicken in the next couple of minutes, to be completely honest. The Harbinger is now being built by Wednesday, my dudes, trying to clear out this T2 army of Willow's Duality, but Willow's Duality also having his own Harbingers on the field, plus Asylums, means that these Harbingers going to need a lot of numbers to be able to deal with this, as many units are still pouring out of the base of Willow's Duality, who's sitting back here just kind of assisting a T3 HQ. Sergeant Syphilis still working on T3. He's also working on T3 Air HQ. Do we have anything spicy like a nuke coming up? No, we really don't. Don't see any. Oh, another experimental queued up. Iron Balls going for an Awasa. Going for that giant T4 experimental bomber. Gonna be an interesting game if that finishes. We're gonna need to see something out from Wookiee Guy, preferably ASF, to deal with it. The Chicken now making its way towards the western base, or the most eastern base of Wednesday, my dudes, and possibly going to be able to kill off all of it. Wookiee Guy still has a few fire bases and production structures scattered about, but not anything of significance, to be completely honest. On the western side, the army for Willow's Duality slowly getting thinned out by the Harbingers. It seems as though the Asylums weren't enough, but the Obsidians are going to be more than enough. They're very tanky and able to deal with Harbingers as long as they have a large numbers advantage. It's not a mass efficient trade, but it is a trade you can make. We also have a ton of Rhinos now out from Wednesday, my dudes, that can really take a dent into these armies. The Rhino quite tanky. The Obsidian's probably tankier. I'm pretty sure it is tankier, but at the same time, it's a difficult ask for Obsidians to go up against both Harbingers and Rhinos at the same time. There are Percivals coming out of the water and shooting all of these Rhinos in the back from Sergeant Syphilis, and they're going to recede back into the water in due time. And Willow's Duality starting to push forward. I think this is the wrong call. In the eastern side, the Chicken has made it all the way into the base and is just starting to destroy all of the tech that was built up here. The T3 Air HQ, the T2 Land HQ, all of these mass extractors are going to be forfeit. Iron Balls really just playing a stunning game. And the Restorer Ball is building, though, and a lot of Restorers can beat a lot of ASF. Restorers having a lot more health and having relatively decent AA means they're kind of hard to deal with it with ASF. You have to have an overwhelming number, which is easier to achieve than it maybe once was. You can build ASF a lot faster than Restorers, but you can get to a critical mass death ball of Restorers if left unchecked and your opponent doesn't focus on building ASF. There is this Yathoda 5 vet still walking around, almost fully recovered its health and up to almost 100,000 HP as it's killed off everything on the eastern flank and now moves westward. We have bricks now building up for Wednesday, my dudes. And it seems as though Wookiee Guy and Wednesday, my dudes, are at a loss. They're kind of pinned into a corner, and they really need to come up with a solution very quick. And this might be one, a Galactic Colossus on the way for Wednesday, my dudes. If that finishes, that could be a game changer. That would be an experimental that they can throw over towards Willow's Duality, who really just doesn't have a great defense against it. We have a Fat Boy now on the way. Sergeant Syphilis and Willow's Duality seemingly going to cooperate on building this Fat Boy. A lot of T2 engineers now coming out from Willow's Duality to help out with that, along with all of the build power that Sergeant Syphilis has available in the area, including a bunch of T3 engineers, his comm, and some T2 engineers. And That is going to be significant. All of these T2 factories up here, that the forward production facilities that are facility that's adjacent to this mass extractor, going T3 for Willow's Duality. And the experimental, this chicken, still making its way to the west, but there's a large group of restorers, now up to 28 restorers just on screen right here, and more always coming out of the factories. They're going to be able to try and stop this Yathoda. I'd like these bricks to come back for Wednesday, my dudes. I think that would be a good call. Bring the bricks back to be able to deal with this, but it looks like he wants to focus the bricks on killing off this army out from Iron Balls that's trying to pressure onto Wednesday, my dudes. He's going to use the comm, which I believe has heavy shield, or maybe it's just normal the first upgraded shield, but still a relatively tanky comm, can deal with a lot of damage being thrown its way. The Yathoda now in range of the base and now getting assaulted from the air by restorers. Its HP is falling off super quickly, but it has a lot of it to burn through, and these restorers just throwing a lot of damage into this, and the ASF 4 Iron Balls seemingly dying to the restorer ball, and that's going to be very bad for Iron Balls as the Yathoda falls down to 16,000, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and it's dead. And the T3 land HQ for Cybern does live on, so he can continue to build the Cybern experimentals. And the GC is about 70% done and rising. It's going to be done very soon. These Harbingers out for Wednesday, my dudes, starting to whittle down the forces of Willow's Duality. The Percival's over here really helping fighting against the Harbingers out from Wednesday, my dudes. The experimental that Willow's Duality and Sergeant Syphilis were working on together has finished. The Fat Boy probably going to be going out to this western flank, and another Fat Boy started immediately afterwards. And the GC getting very close to done, up to 80%, going to be rising very quickly. A large group of bricks and Harbingers to support it, going to be very significant. And the experimental Fat Boy was transferred over to Willow's Duality, who is going to take command of that. So maybe we'll see a Fat Boy versus GC, but I'm pretty sure the GC can win it just by walking at the Fat Boy, and there's really not going to be very much room for the Fat Boy to run away, so we're going to have to keep an eye on that. And with the chicken dead on this eastern flank, it does seem that Wednesday, my dudes, and Wookiee Guy can possibly manage to re-expand out to this area and get their economies back up to snuff. But right now, Team 2, overwhelming economic advantage of 800 versus around just 3,500 mass per second, and it's really just starting to become an economic game of attrition. They really need to start taking out players and bases if they want to continue this game and win it. But the one saving grace is, of course, that GC and the large T3 army, and the fact that Wookiee Guy has a stupid amount of restorers, 47 restorers out on the field. That's very significant. Going for some mobile anti-air, gonna possibly even be shooting at some of these SAM sites that have been built up by Sergeant Syphilis. A bunch of ASF now coming in. The restorers are gonna fall back, but those ASF are gonna be shredded. There's not nearly enough ASF to deal with this. They'll kill a restorer or two, but that's gonna be a huge loss. Iron Ball's gonna have no ASF to help with this oncoming push, and these restorers going to be able to assist Wednesday, my dudes, in this push where he has overwhelming advantage on the ground. He has a GC and a ton of land units. The Iwasa is finished. The Iwasa could very possibly come in and just swoop in and kill off a large swath of this T3 army, but is that going to happen? Iwasa flying off screen. Let's go ahead and take a look. Let's track this Iwasa as the Fat Boy opens up on the GC over there. See if the Iwasa is going to be given an order. I'd like to see it given an order to go and drop a bomb over here. Is it going to get that order? I'm not sure. Move pings placed on it. Needs to make a decision quick. Willow's Duality falling back into his base with the Fat Boy and firing at the GC. And yes, the Iwasa's been given the order. We're going to be able to see a beautiful bomb if this is dropped properly onto that GC and all of the Harbingers in tow. The GC down to half health. The Fat Boy doing a lot of work, dropping its deadly payloads from far away. And we're going to stop tracking and turn off all of this fancy stuff. 1 second. And we, of course, have all of this going on between these players. The GC now pushing forward, the Fat Boy still firing into it, but the GC down critically low on health, down to 1800 health and falling. The GC is going to die. The T3 army is still here and has to be dealt with. The production facilities for Willow's Duality goes down. All of these engineers going to die as they're trying to build up some point defense to deal with the GC. The GC is going to go down, 3000 health and falling, and it is dead as of this moment. And the bomb comes in, and that bomb kills more engineers for Willow's Duality than units of Wednesday, my dudes. Willow's Duality still in trouble though, as there is a ton of bricks bearing down on his location. He has a Fat Boy to defend right now, and that's really going to be his only saving grace as the restorers come in to kill off Willow's Duality. Is this going to be enough to kill him off? He starts falling back. He needs to get underneath a shield and let his flak do the work. All of these restorers pouring their damage in, down to 9000 HP, gets underneath the shield of the Fat Boy. Is that going to be able to save him? Trying to get underneath that shield of light, the T2 shield he built up earlier around his flak. The Fat Boy shield falls. The restorers still focus down onto Willow's Duality, and the ASF come in from Iron Balls to save the day along with the flak, and Willow's Duality survives on half health. Very, very close scrape with death. Yet again, Willow's Duality cheating death multiple times. And this Fat Boy is to thank, using the Fat Boy shield to save the comm there. Very, very close to being an ejection for Team 2. But even if they got that, that would have been a huge investment just to kill off Willow's Duality, who is arguably one of the weaker players for Team 2 even before all of this happened. A second Fat Boy has been finished up, and both the Fat Boy of Sergeant Syphilis and Willow's Duality starting to push forward now. And the Restorer Ball is rebuilding, but he needs to rebuild it fast, and a lot more ASF are now built up than there were before. The Iwasa on the ground over here, 42 kills, also helping out quite a bit, killing off a lot of those T3 units. And as I can take a second to breathe, we can watch the Fat Boys fire their deadly payloads onto these T3 units of varying varieties. And Percival's, of course, coming up. A ton of reclaim over here, and of course, this bug, which always happens to me but never happens for my GCs. The GC is dead, but there is still a living unit that is the GC, so you can't reclaim it. It's a very annoying bug, and that needs to be fixed. That's just entirely unacceptable and broken. The fact that that's one of the things about FAF that is great. There is never a point at which you're like, if you throw a unit, if you invest a unit in an attack, if it dies, it is an asset to the enemy. And I think that this, even though it's Aeon, and yes, it does benefit Aeon, is really messed up, to be honest. It's made me not really want to build GCs as of late, if I'm being 100% truthful with you all. A large overwhelming force coming for Wednesday, my dudes, and I think the writing might be on the wall for Team 1, but we'll keep an eye on it. Restorers out over here, going to be able to kill off a lot of ASF as they just fly around and don't really do much. The Restorers may even be able to kill off all of these ASFs if the micro continues to be so lackluster out from Iron Balls, but Iron Balls having a Wasa, there's multiple experimentals built up on the field now. There is another Fat Boy about to finish up for Sergeant Syphilis. It's just a very difficult situation now for Team 1 to handle. Wednesday, my dudes, walks out and is assailed by Fat Boy fire, and I believe this is going to be the end of Wednesday, my dude. His shield is going down. He had heavy shield. He had 25,000 HP, but that shield is going to go down in a matter of seconds. And now he's down to 10,000 HP and falling. And this is going to be a sad but expected loss of a great player. Wednesday, my dude, he's really played a stellar game. And if things had just gone a little bit better for his team, I think he very much so have a shot of winning this. And with that, yeah, the writing is on the wall. I'm going to speed up a little bit. Hell of a game, may cast it. Shut the fuck up, you loser. God, I hate these blue Aeon players in chat. They're so annoying, aren't they? Am I right? The units just slowly destroying the bases of Wookiee guy. Teleporter started for Wookiee Guy. That could be an interesting play, but he's Aeon, so the teleporter is, well, significantly less useful than the spiky variety of teleporters. The Fat Boy is moving around. 3 vet on the hero experimental that saved Willow's duality, and Sergeant Syphilis has finished a Novax center now. 2 Fat Boys and a Novax. Very interesting. Teleporter still on the way. T3 power thrown up very quickly. Another T2 thrown up quickly. He's going to be getting this upgrade finished in the next couple of seconds, so he will have it finished. And where is it? There's a nuke launcher somewhere. Somebody's going to launch a nuke. A nuke launcher over here launching. It's going to launch over onto the base of Wookiee Guy. Is he going to be able to teleport in time is the question. Let's go ahead and slow it down to normal speed. The nuke is incoming, and the teleportation just finishes right before the nuke lands. And the nuke lands, and Wookiee Guy teleports over to the nuke launcher and is going to die to the army and the T1 PD and the comm of the blind bat, who just got his shield to come online because insult to injury. And that's the end of this match. If you like my content, please consider liking, subscribing, or even joining me over on Patreon, where you can support the channel even further. And you all are beautiful. Thank you to my patrons, Timothy Calderwood, Sergeant Syphilis, GTVA, Icy Nightmare, Nogthar, Idle Betazoid. And I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye!